to listen, see what's being said. It's just really annoying how people voting for certain parties, how they hate against each other. We're all going to have different views, which is great. But it seems we've forgotten to listen.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
Sorry.
not going to lie, I'm not exactly going to be nice to someone who wants to vote my rights away.
I mean, David,
someone that wants to get rid of the HCR, for instance, that directly attacks women, disabled people, minorities.
Oh, 100%.
Also, as T said, human rights are not negotiable.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he also literally said that he would want me to be put out of a job. He said that we just shouldn't have asylum seekers. I'm an immigration advisor, so I work with asylum seekers.
Sorry, I want to put it out there. I'm not. The last few general elections, I've not voted for anyone. I've gone to vote, but I've defaced my paper, basically. I'm just not happy with anything that's on offer from anyone, if I'm perfectly honest.
Are you more or less happy with some parties?
Can only go off through my lifetime. It's obviously, Labour and Conservatives. Going back to, obviously, I was too young for Margaret Thatcher, and even John Major was pushing it a little bit for me to remember. But obviously, we can look back on what's what. But I don't think there's been a good party or leader that has genuinely looked out for the British public.
I would disagree with that.
We need to move away from
Jeremy Corbyn was one that did actually look out for the British public.
Really?
Yeah, no, really, I would.
What, with his free Wi-Fi?
What?
Is that not looking out for you?
Yeah, it is.
But it was never going to happen, was it?
That's not what he advocated for. He advocated for...
Oh, it was a big thing he tried to push.
Wait, yeah, I agree with that. That's good, isn't it?
It's very good, but it would never have happened. It would never have happened.
I mean, if he got the votes and it was one of his top priorities, then maybe it could have happened, and maybe that's a good reason to.
Oh, don't get me wrong; it'd be fantastic for students to have that accessibility, but it would not have happened, and it would have been similar to Kia doing U-turns. It wouldn't have happened. We know it wouldn't have. We can.
David, one thing I would recommend if you weren't sure like where to go is there's a website from the 2024 general election that was really useful, and it was Vote for Policies, and you can still go on it and take the 2024 survey. So what it does is you can do all the topics, all of the different ones, or you can just select a few, and it lays out the policies that each party has without telling you who the party is. So you just select the ones that you agree with the most, and at the end it gives you a really like comprehensive like chart of who you mostly align with.
Okay.
And I always recommend that to people, just because if they don't know who to vote for, that's fair enough. Like, there's so much information. But if you go on this and you can select, you can get such a mixture, and it tells you like, it breaks it down who you most align with. It could be 50-50, it could be a mixture.
Where did you say that was?
It's voteforpolicies.org.uk. So they're not doing it for the next one, but you can still take the 2024 survey and get the results from that, and obviously read from them that are on there. So that's always handy. But you can do a quick one, top 3, or select your own, or do all of them. So it goes crime, education, equalities and rights, literally everything is on there.
Okay, yeah, I'll have a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really useful. I always recommend it to people who like say they don't know who to vote for, and I'm like, great, because you might not like a person, but obviously this is their policies. It's what they had in their manifesto, so it's really useful.
Yeah, but how much can we believe their policies and manifestos when they're doing U-turns and? It's just frustrating. Every party does it. I'm not singling anyone out. That every party does it, and it's frustrating.
I think that's always a question.
It actually is frustrating. I don't think you can trust any politician 100%. Never. But like, I mean, I just think it's a really useful tool so you can see where you most align.
Yeah.
I mean, I could give you a million reasons not to vote Reform based on policy. But I would also never stand here and tell you that like every single politician's trustworthy. I don't think a single politician's trustworthy entirely.
No, definitely not.
But I could definitely say which one I'm voting for.
Yeah, but it just goes back to my original statement is just people hating on each other. I can understand when someone is being malicious for the sake of, I mean, some policies are just out there, aren't they? They're so...
Yeah, and I
It's
think
very
that
blatant.
that kind of goes back to what we said about like human rights. Like there are a lot of reform policies that go against like my human rights and several other people. So I'm going to, if anyone like says, oh yeah, I fully agree with that, then I'm going to have a problem with that because they don't think I should have those human rights. If someone said, oh, I'm voting for this, I'd be like, okay, a bit weird, but fine. Like you're allowed an opinion. Of course you are. But if you are then telling me you agree with people that want to remove my human rights, that's when I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah. Because it's not something where it's like an opinion about, you know, like pineapple on pizza or some shit like that, and we can just have a laugh and get on with whatever. This is like the policies that they want to instate, in particular when it comes to reform, directly will impact working class people, people of color, immigrants, immigrants who've been here for decades. Myself, I mean, I work in immigration, and you know, my family is full of immigrants, Jamaican, and yeah, like it will directly impact so many people, so it's just going to disintegrate everything. So obviously when it comes down to human quality of life and human rights, I can't get on with people who are fascists. I can't.
I think also not just us but future generations as well. So for example, net zero is something that a Reform UK just want to scrap, and that will have devastating effects on the environment and you know, economics across the world. And if we don't start dealing with it as we have done, and you know, pushing more and more things like renewable energy, we will be fucked. Like it will destroy not just the UK but the entire world as well. And I think it's so important to recognize those things as well. It's not just how it affects us, but how it affects future generations for the parties that we vote for.
Can I... Are you all Labour supporters?
No,
absolutely
Greens.
not.
Absolutely not.
Okay, sorry.
No, fuck this. I mean, I went most of my life, when I was a kid at least, thinking that I would vote Labour when I grew up because you know, my granddad, and it felt like he represented the kind of values that affected my family because I'm from the northeast of England, like a proper working class town that Margaret Thatcher fucked over. So, and I always thought I was going to vote Labour, and then as I became the age to vote, as I became an adult, I realised Labour and the Conservatives have virtually become the same people. And Reform has also, you know, majority of Reform is made up by ex-Conservatives who've, you know, the people who really fucked over this country when it came to COVID, moved over to Reform. So for me, the only answer is Green.
Okay, I'd say at least you're trying to move away from the past mistakes, which I'm getting at other parties, where you got people that are just dead set Conservatives or dead set Labour, and they won't move away from it. And for me, it's not worked. We need change.
Yeah, I'm very much like Free Palestine. I grew up in a because my mum's British, my dad's not. I grew up in a Labour household. Do you know what I mean? That was like the working class party. That was who I was not expected to vote, but like typically. But then I like got older. I did my own research, and like I said, that website incredible. And I thought, I'm not a Labour supporter at all. This does not represent me. This is not me at all. And I like Free Palestine, but Green. That's who I most align with, so that's who I voted for.
Hi guys. I just wanted to quickly address where people have been asking questions about what human rights. So I recommend people actually have a look at the Reform website where it talks about leaving the ECHR and repealing our Human Rights Act. What they do say is that they would implement a British Bill of Rights, but they have not specified what would be contained within those British Bill of Rights. But let's say, for argument's sake, that the British Bill of Rights is an exact replica of the Human Rights Act 1998. Are we going to pretend that domestic law abuses have not occurred, which the ECHR protects us from? There are several case law that I recommend people have a read of to understand how the ECHR has protected us. So one is Dudgeon v UK. Another one is in relation to Big Brother, not the Channel 4 Big Brother, and not in relation to the book. I think it was by George Orwell. There is also the case of the DV victim who took the government to the European Court of Human Rights because they were trying to impose a bedroom tax upon her. What I would also state as well is when they try and tell you it's down to immigration, the ECHR has only stopped 13 deportation cases since the 80s. So it's a lie when they're telling you they want to leave the ECHR because of immigration. It's to manufacture consent where they can essentially do what they want to do without accountability. Now, let's say Reform get in power and you're happy that they will not be held accountable and they can impose what they want. Reform are not going to be in power forever. So that opens the door for successive governments. So let's say you absolutely despite Labour, let's say Labour happen to get in next, that would allow them to be able to do the same. So just have a think about this long term. Also, they want to repeal the Equality Act 2010. And people think this is just simply down to race. It absolutely isn't. It protects you against age discrimination, sex discrimination, faith, disabilities. There was a case where, and I'll find the name and put it in the comments, where a law firm forced someone into early retirement, and it was found that they were going against his protected characteristics when it comes to age. There's a lot of case law to show you how often that this does happen, where in terms of employment, education, you can face certain issues. But yeah, I just wanted to confirm that because a lot of people are asking what rights.
WT.
Hell yeah. But it's a clear attack on our rights as well. To say to take away the ECHR is big, and Conservatives are doing this as well. Because if you don't know, the ECHR is your legal recourse against any parliamentary action in the UK. So if we repealed it, there'd be no way for us to say, I don't know, stop if Parliament decided to force everyone to become trans or whatever. There'd be no legal recourse for any of us to say no, because our laws, our sovereignty comes from Parliament in the UK. And that's what's so interesting about it. And the reason why everyone should be skeptical on why Reform and Restore and the Conservatives want to leave the ECHR. But yeah, David, it was great having you up here. But I'm gonna move on for one last debate.
Most people in the UK do not have a problem with immigration. It's illegal immigration that people have a problem with. And illegal immigration does pose a threat to the UK, and I don't care what anybody says.
Let me guess, you think asylum seekers are illegal?
I was about to say.
I do think asylum seekers are risky. Yes,
but they're not illegal.
Absolutely.
Can I just say something? Can I just say something very quickly, just because of my work and stuff? Okay, so I work in immigration. It's never, ever, 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 ever illegal to claim asylum. 80% of what's classed as illegal immigrants are people who came here initially on a visa. So that will be a work visa, education visa, something along those lines. And then because they keep rising the amount that's needed to renew that visa, people oftentimes can't afford it every couple years. So then they get classed as illegal. It's literally people who come here on a visa and then can't renew it.
Yeah, but we don't really want to be taking these people. We don't know who they are.
Banksy, just a question. Do you think Reform are just targeting illegal immigrants?
Yeah, most likely.
No, they want to scrap the ILR. Do you know what that is?
Independent leave to remain, right?
Yeah, and they're legal immigrants. Indefinite.
My bad, yeah.
And they're legal immigrants, so why would you think that they just want to target illegal immigrants?
Because the main goal is to target illegal immigrants.
Well, clearly not. If they're scrapping indefinite leave to remain, that impacts 800,000 people.
The thing that you're not understanding, people feel unsafe in this country, and
I feel unsafe around 100%
fact.
Why do you think people feel unsafe, Banksy?
When you're importing people from
women
from countries which don't align with our culture.
Can you give an example?
And our way of living.
Women feel more unsafe around British men.
Yeah, can you give an example?
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
What
do you have the statistics for that?
Do you have the stats for that? Yeah, over 80% of sexual crimes are committed by British white men, and you have women on this panel that can tell
more crimes to be committed by white people.
It's overrepresented.
It's
overrepresented. So you have
Well,
how
about you check the? Why don't you check the per?
White men in this country make up around I believe it's 49% or to 50% in this country. So that's specifically white men, so white and men.
Yeah, where are you getting
but
these
then
statistics
they
from?
commit 80% of the rape crimes and ethnic crimes towards women, which means
Yeah,
that
have you looked at per capita?
Right, per
it means it's
capita, they are
drastically-
still
it- yes, per
overrepresented.
capita.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah,
Check per
if you
capita.
let me finish,
Yes,
if you let me
per
finish.
capita, they are overrepresented. That is what they're saying.
Yes, literally, yeah. So I'm saying they're still overrepresented. So when
And where did you
Reform
get
UK
these?
sit
Where
there
did
and
you
they're
get these
kind of like,
statistics from?
They're from
Banksy,
the
can you be
government
quiet?
website, the Office of National Statistics, and the Crown Prosecution Service.
And Great
Yeah.
Crimes.
Have you got a link? Send me
Yeah,
the link.
literally.
Are you
that's-
able to Google the Office of National Statistics, or does the ONS baffle you? Can you spell ONS?
No, I'm saying.
Just
you
to
actually
bring
have
it,
a link for
just to
this?
bring it back, Banksy. In terms of people feeling unsafe, would you say it's men feeling unsafe in this country, or is it women, or is it children? Like when you say collectively, who are you talking about specifically?
I'd predominantly say probably more women, yes, but obviously
Okay.
men
Okay.
probably still fear for their
Okay,
women.
and do you agree that when women are harmed, it's committed by men? Majority is committed by men.
Majority of the time, yes.
Okay, so why are you pointing at illegal immigrants if men are the issue?
That's you're completely missing the point. We
hang
don't
on,
need to be adding additional
right,
risks.
I'll make it easier for you, Banksy. Right, one woman is
No, you don't need to
unalived.
make it easy.
One woman is unalived every 3 days in the UK. Right, the majority of the time,
Okay.
the perpetrator is known to the victim. Right, it's typically a partner or an ex-partner. So when you're talking about safety and you're talking about predominantly it being women that feeling unsafe, why are you looking at asylum seekers? I'm not going to say legal immigrants because you're conflating the two, and that's inaccurate.
Yep.
Because I'm not saying that we don't have our own problems as a country. Of course, we have our own problems. Why add more to the problem?
So by your logic,
Wait, hang on.
Wait. So let me
Go on.
finish on this, Sedekli. So by your logic, you say why import more problems? So we can agree that men are the common denominator when it comes to harm against women and girls. So by your
Thank you.
logic, we should not allow men to leave the country. We should not allow men to enter the country, nor should women give birth to boys who become men, because ultimately they are contributing to the problem. That is your logic reversed against you.
Okay, so we're just blaming men.
Yes,
Is that all?
that would be
Well,
way more
when-
helpful, by the way.
When
That would be way more
99%
logical.
of
That's
the
basically
sexual
what we're doing,
crimes
we're
are
just blaming
committed by
them now.
men,
Yeah, that would be-
when 99% of the sexual crimes and over 90% of the violent crimes are committed by men, then yes, I would see that as a pattern
Men
and a
men
consistent
tend to
problem.
men
Yeah,
tend
that
to
would
be
be way more
aggressive.
logical than blaming
Men are
asylum
biologically more
seekers.
aggressive than women.
No,
yes.
they're not.
Biologic?
If you're gonna
Yes,
wait,
they
hold
are.
on. If you're going to say that men are more biologically tended to be aggressive, then you would have to argue that women on their
Yes, they
period
are.
are just as aggressive as men because they have the same levels of testosterone in their body. But we don't
No,
see
they're-
that. We
they
don't
have
see
the
that
same
as a
levels of
pattern.
testosterone.
Wait,
Yeah, also,
hang on.
Banksy, you're
I
not
think
ape. You're not an ape. Like you do have like a level of self-control. You're not an animal or like
Yes, but I'm
not a
generally
non-moral ape.
speaking.
So there's no biological component in men in like adult men who which tells them to
Okay,
grape.
well, yes, there is.
There's
What's the
none of-
When
biological?
does-
What's the
wait, no,
there's
biological? No,
When
listen,
does-
listen.
You're
What's the
justifying
biological?
you're justifying grape
Oh.
right now by saying that there's a biological component that
He
compels
literally
men to
is.
grape.
When does this biological
It's common
component like
sense.
wait, when does this biological component just switch on? Does it switch on from like a young age? Are young boys violent individuals, or like is it like
I'm just
does it
saying
happen with
it's common. It's
puberty,
common
or-
sense that and biological that
It's
men
not
are
common
more
sense
aggressive
that
than
men
women.
Then,
Why are
then
you trying
if,
to
if
justify
it's
We're talking specifically
biological,
in the level of grape. We're talking about that because you said there was a biological component that compels men to grape. But then that kind of proves
Why
that
are
you
we
don't
talking
really
about
care.
grape now?
It proves that
What
you
are we
don't really
talking
care about protecting women. You don't really care about that
What-
because you said that people feel unsafe in this country. You said majority of them are women, and then you were basically
I'm saying you
trying to
can't blame
scapegoat-
men.
Trying to scapegoat, and this is what
Yes,
Reform
we
UK
can.
You
does.
can't
They try and
blame
scapegoat
immigrants
men
then.
of color. You try and scapegoat immigrants to
kinda
basically
can, you
hide
can.
behind a white man's problem. This is a white British male problem.
Wait,
It is.
why can't we blame men, but you can blame immigrants? If the
Mhm.
majority of these crimes are happening, being done by white British men, why can't we blame men, but you can blame immigrants?
I
But
just
are
want to
the
know
women not
how.
something
are
say?
the actual majority of crimes being done
I
by
just-
white men per
Yes.
100,000?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
I
Are
just
they
want to
though?
know how this
And I
is a
told you where you
biological
can find
thing.
the statistics.
I just want to know how this is apparently a biological thing. Like when, like I've said,
No,
if you're-
it's very
Again,
common,
like
even in animal
like
life.
I said, if
that
you're going
men-
to try and
that
blame it
males
on
are more aggressive
biology,
than
then you would
females.
have to. If
again, if you're going to blame it on biology, then you would have to concede that when women are at their highest peak level of testosterone, which is when they're menstruating, they would also be as violent as men biologically. So why do we not see that happening?
You are absolutely wrong. Women have
How am I
nowhere
wrong?
near the
Hang on.
levels.
None of this is solving the problem. Like, you're saying there's a
Okay,
problem
wait.
and just trying to link it like
What about
to a demographic. The problem is you
No,
want to
no,
solve
you're-
the
that's what
problem.
exactly
Wait,
what
wait,
you're
wait,
doing.
Hang on, real quick. Okay, so if immigrants came here and none of them did any crimes whatsoever, would you be fine with it?
If they integrated to our society, yes.
They already do this. Most
Yeah.
immigrants do not commit crimes. They already do this
No,
in mass.
we're not talking about.
They do this
We're
more
talking
than.
about
So
illegal
what we're
immigrants
talking-
and
what we're-
asylum seekers.
One second, they do this more than
We're
white
talking about
British
illegal
men. They do this more
immigrants
than
and
one
asylum
second,
seekers.
Banksy, wait. Okay, they do this more than British citizens. Okay, British white men. They do this more in terms of not committing crime and integrating into society. You're trying to like link grape to a biological component. That's just fucking insane to me. But also,
Why are we talking? When did I even
handling-
mention?
when
When
we're
did I
processing
mention
people-
grape
Banksy,
once?
one second, because we talked about it and we said that women
I
in
never
this
said.
country
I never
feel unsafe.
mentioned that word.
We talked about it. We said that women in this country feel unsafe. Then you tried to pin it on immigrants, which is what a lot of white British men do when they want to kind of hide and scapegoat somebody from the actual problem, okay? When they want to negate what the actual problem is. So let's just address it, okay? When immigrants are coming in here, and listen, I am an immigration advisor. I work with immigrants. I look at their applications. I tell them their success rate, likelihood of being, accepted and rejected, and I help them.
Can you
gather
talk
the
a bit
evidence
slower?
for
You're
it.
Thank you.
talking
If
really,
somebody
really
said-
fast.
Yeah,
Right,
well, maybe
English
stop
is my second
interrupting me.
language, and I can understand what she's saying. Keep up.
I know, Jesus. But yeah, so
Talking fast doesn't show intelligence.
fine then.
Just
I'll speak
relax.
We
slowly.
know.
Then. Fine then, I'll speak slowly then. I'm not doing it to be smart or whatever. I just know. So listen, when they're here and when they're looking at an application, say if they've committed a previous crime in another country, which I can get access to, like it's on record. You know what I mean? They'll get and this is for a minor crime. They'll be here on a discretion, which means that if they are accepted and they commit one single crime in the UK, they'll be deported immediately. Like put in prison or deported, either way, it's just not going to be a good ending for them immediately. And that's for even a minor crime. So if somebody's come here and they have grape on their record, or they have sexual violence or domestic violence on their record, or terrorism or schmurder, they will not be accepted. Because you get a discretion if you've nicked a packet of sweets from the shop. Do you understand?
I also just want to point out,
Right.
like, when he was talking about the biological thing, she literally has a degree in biology and no one let her speak.
Yeah, but no, I'm back to that point. I was literally just saying that men in all forms of nature, and males, sorry, in all forms of nature, are way more aggressive than females. That is 100% fact. I don't care what anybody
But
says.
humans have the
It's
not
moral
100%.
understanding.
Where's your
It
source?
is
You asked me
100%
for my
fact.
source. Where's your source for that?
I don't need your source.
You,
I'm
you
telling you
asked
now,
me
that is
for my
basic.
source. When I
That
gave
is
you the
basic.
statistics,
That is basic.
no,
Basic biology.
Banksy, when I gave you the statistics that it was the majority of white British men that commit violent crimes against women and girls, I gave you the statistics. I said they're on the government website, they're on the Office of National Statistics, and they're on the Crown Prosecution Service. I can't get the link for you right now because I'm at work, but that's where you can find them. They're very easy to find. Why do you not now
It is
need a source to
basically-
back up your point?
Mm-hmm.
It is basic biology that in
So
mammals.
where's your source?
males are more
Okay. I
aggressive.
don't care
Where's your
about. I don't
source?
care about basic biology. All we're saying is, if you were to specifically blame a demographic, the one to blame would be the one who are doing like 99% of the violent crime. So why are you trying to blame it on immigrants when they do like so much less than the native born population? If you actually wanted to solve these problems, there are good policies that you could go over. First of all, you could do things like make misogyny a hate crime. We could revamp the education system so it focuses on protecting victims of like CSA. Like there are hundreds of things, but blaming immigrants is not gonna be a priority for anyone in the UK who has faced SA, because most likely it's probably someone they know and someone who's a British citizen.
Listen, it's as simple as this. We don't want our country being invaded. And it's as simple as that.
Okay,
And if
so
you
now you're
define
going
the word
to
invasion, it's exactly...
invasion.
What
And listen,
do you
no, listen,
consider
listen,
Fuck you,
listen.
on
invading
about?
everywhere
Neckley,
else then?
Neckley, if you define... Why don't you go search up the meaning of invasion?
Yeah, I feel
And
like you
tell me
don't know
that
what it
that
is.
is
Banksy, I feel
literally-
like you don't know what
And
it
tell
is.
me that's what... Tell me
You
that
don't
that is
know
not
what
what's
it is.
happening now.
Banksy, you don't know what
Tell me.
invasion is. I can tell you what was an
Define it
invasion.
then.
I can tell you
Can
what was
I
an
wait? Can I
invasion.
just ask Banksy a
Britain
really important
colonizing
question?
everywhere. Britain colonizing everywhere was an invasion.
Can I?
Yeah,
can I
no
ask
one,
a
no one,
question?
no one, no one, no one,
committing an illegal
nobody
war
alive
in
now
Iraq,
who
that was an invasion.
Can I ask
the
a question?
colonization. Nobody is alive now who colonized
No.
anybody. That's
So-
I just
so-
have a question.
okay.
for
So
Banksy.
hang on, an invasion is an instance of invading a country or region with an armed force. Immigrants don't have an armed force, so no, they don't meet this
Banksy,
definition.
what's a bigger
Doesn't
number?
necessarily matter
Is
an
it
armed force.
84
You're an
or
idiot.
16?
They're invading the country.
No,
you
they're
already
not.
said look at the definition.
No, they're not.
Banksy.
There's no even coordination between a lot of immigrants. So you're just lying to
Banksy.
yourself right now.
It's an invasion.
Banksy,
Right.
what's a
Wait,
bigger
hang on.
Literally what
number?
it is.
Let Joseph go real quick.
What's a bigger number, 16 or 84?
What'd you say?
What's a bigger number, 16 or 84?
It's a bit of a common sense question, isn't it?
Well, then can you answer it, please?
Thank you for following.
84, obviously.
Exactly. 16% of the UK population are immigrants. So does that constitute an invasion?
I'm not talking about normal immigrants. Oh my god!
No,
I'm talking about the
that takes into
people
account
arriving here
immigrants
on
and
boats.
asylum seekers.
Okay, so asylum
I'm
I'm
seekers.
talking about the
Now,
people who are coming here on
16%
boats.
is an invasion.
Wait, the people on boats make even
talking about the
less of the population. You realize that, right?
It's as simple as that. We don't want these people here. It's as simple
Well, no,
as that.
you're making
But
up
you
every
don't want to be
racist.
sent home,
excuse.
Banksy.
We just
If
don't
I'm an
want these
immigrant,
people
should
here.
I be sent home?
Are you illegal?
I entered the country illegally, yes, but I am legal.
Asylum seekers are not illegal
You
immigrants, Banksy.
What'd
Can
you
we
say?
just- asylum seekers are not illegal immigrants, Banksy. We've said this numerous times. And why do you keep saying we? Why can you not
I
speak
put
for
them in the same
yourself?
bracket, to be honest.
Well, why do you keep saying we and you don't speak for yourself? And what I also find interesting is when we told you the common denominator is men when it comes for harm against women and girls, you rejected that completely. You got defensive. I mean, you're exposing yourself there. You don't really care about harm if it means that the blame is going to be put on a demographic which you subscribe to.
I don't think it should be put on men.
But in terms of
Absolutely not.
in terms
Well,
of,
I think
in
that's the
terms of
logical
gender-
one to put it on.
in terms of gender-based,
very
in
sexist.
terms of no, it's not sexist. Gender-based violence
it
when
is
it
sexist.
comes.
Yeah, and putting
When-
on immigration is xenophobic. You idiot.
Yeah,
No,
it's a
I'm-
scapegoat that
I
white men
don't-
look to
I'm
hide
just
behind.
saying.
You don't
I'm
even know.
just
No,
saying that there's
Banksy,
a.
you know what's so
I'm
funny?
all
You
I'm-
initially said, oh, Google the definition of invasion. When Neckley did that, you didn't like the definition. You were going to try and use the definition against him, but then when you read it out, it was like, wait, but this
It's
doesn't
an
qualify.
invasion.
You're like, oh, but this
It
bit
is-
doesn't
it
qualify.
is an invasion.
No,
No,
you're
it's
full of shit. It's
moving
not
to a
an invasion.
country
By
is not
its definition-
necessarily an
By its
invasion.
definition, it's not an invasion. By its definition, which you tried to weaponize and it didn't work out for you because you're full of shit. And it's the same thing with it. You don't know that asylum seeker. It's never illegal to claim asylum. You're like, oh, I'd put it in brackets. I heard you say that. That's bullshit. You're literally going against British law.
Banksy, do you know what the British values are?
He doesn't.
Unfortunately, I can't go into this because I've got to go. I should have gone like 10 minutes ago. But thank you all
Anyways, all
so
I've got
much.
to say is the right
Banksy,
wing
no one
are
cares what
winning,
you've got to
mate.
say.
The
You're a
right
xenophobe
wing
vote.
really
are
not.
winning.
No one gives
We
a
are
shit.
Right. I'm going to have to go. Thank you all so much for coming on the panel. I do have a YouTube where these are uploaded, so go follow it. It's Neckley on YouTube. And everyone have a great day. Stay hydrated, and I will see you all soon. Thanks, guys, for coming up.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.